Okay, so the lesson objective for today is that students will divide a polynomial by a monomial. That's our first objective, and then we're going to divide polynomials by binomials after we do this. All right, so dividing a polynomial by a monomial. It's actually, you guys already know what to do because you already know how to reduce when you have two monomials. So what we do is we just divide each term by that monomial. So I have the 6x, I'll rewrite it, I've got 6x cubed plus 8x squared minus 4x. I'm going to divide each one by 2x. And then we just simplify or reduce each one of those terms. So if I look at my first term, 2 goes into 6 3 times. And do I have more x's on the top or on the bottom? On top, how many? 2 of them. So that becomes 3x squared. Looking at the next term, 2 goes into 8 4 times. So we have plus 4. And then are there more x's on the top or on the bottom? On top by 1. And then 2 goes into 4 2 times, and the x's cancel out, so we have minus 2. And so then that's your answer. You just leave it like that because there's no like terms. There's nothing you can combine. You don't have to factor it or anything like that. Yeah. Okay? And so then that would be your answer. Not too bad, huh? It's really not that much more than what you guys have done before. And you guys have been doing this since January, so I think you guys can do this. All right, so I'm going to have you guys do one on whiteboard. Okay, so we divided each one by 5x. Looks like most of you got it. A couple of you made mistakes at first, but then you fixed it. Okay, so for the first one, we just had x squared. 5 goes into 24 times. So we have minus 4x. And then 5 goes into that 6 times. The x's get canceled out. And so the final answer was x squared minus 4x plus 6. All right, let's do another one for your notes. All right, so now I have 8p cubed minus 4p squared plus 12p, and I'm going to divide that by negative 4p squared. So I'm going to write the negative 4p squared under each term. When you divide by a negative, be really careful with your signs because everything's going to change. All right, so looking at the first term, negative 4 into 8 becomes a negative 2. And then I have just one more p that's on the top. On this middle term, I've got a negative 4 divided by a negative 4, so the negatives become positive, and they cancel out, and the p squared cancels out. So when everything cancels out, what's it equal? 1. So it's just plus 1. And then for my last one, negative 4 goes into 12 negative 3 times. So I've got minus 3. And I actually have one more p on the bottom. So sometimes you're going to end up actually with a variable on the bottom underneath instead of just all on top like the other one. So the final answer would be negative 2p plus 1 minus 3 over p. And that's okay. So don't worry about it if you end up with variables in the denominator. It's okay on these. Okay? Any questions? No? Okay, let's have you guys do one similar to this on your whiteboards. Yeah? Okay, so 3 goes into 9 3 times. Oh, that didn't work. And we have an x. 3 goes into that 4 times, and the x squareds cancel out, and then 2 times. So we have 2 over x, except for it's not plus, it's minus. All right, and it looked like most of you that showed me answers had that. All right, so now let's look at dividing by a binomial. Now we're going to divide polynomials by a binomial. So this is actually going to be like what we did at the start of the chapter. We're just going to rewrite it as a fraction like we did on our 5-a-days today. And then we're going to factor it and reduce it. Okay, so we've got x squared plus 4x minus 5 over x minus 1. So I factor the top. Do I have a volunteer that wants to do that for me? Nobody's feeling like factoring today. Shelby? X plus 5 and x minus 1. And then we see that we have an x minus 1 on the top and the bottom, so those can cancel out. And the answer would just be x plus 5. So it's just like what you guys were doing 2 or 3 lessons ago, right? It's just simplifying them. So let's have you guys do one on your whiteboards just to make sure it sinks in. Okay, so on this one, they had the first one, 10 plus 7x plus x squared. That's not in standard form, is it? So we need to put it in standard form. And so when you do that, you get x squared plus 7x plus 10. When you factored it, you guys, looks like most of you got that right. Your x plus 2's cancel out, and so this one was also x plus 5. All right, let's take a look at another one for your notes. All right, so we've got 3x squared minus 10x minus 8, and it's divided by 4 minus x. Okay, and so then I have it rewritten as a fraction, and I'll go ahead and start factoring the top. So I know I'm going to have 3x and x, and then to get the 8, it's going to probably be 2 and 4. And I want it to have a difference of 10, so I'm going to put the 4 over here and the 2 here. And 3 times 4 is 12. That's going to give me negative 12 plus 2. That will add up to the 10. So I get 3 plus 2 over x minus 4. And then on the bottom, I've got 4 minus x. So what do we do when we have opposite binomials like that? How can we get it to flip around? Take out the negative 1. Good job. So we factor out the negative 1 when we have the opposite binomial. All right, so then I'm going to have 3x plus 2, x minus 4, and I'm going to have negative 1 times x minus 4 on the bottom. And then my x minus 4's will cancel out, and dividing by negative 1 is the same as multiplying by negative 1, right? So I'm just going to put the negative out in front of my parentheses. You can leave the answer like that if you want to, or you can go ahead and distribute the negative, and it would be negative 3x minus 2. So either one of those would be an acceptable form of the answer. Okay. Any questions? All right, then here is one for you guys. Oh, look at that. It disappeared. Well, I better write it out then. Okay, we're going to have y squared minus 49 divided by 7 minus y. Y squared minus 49 divided by 7 minus y. Okay, so it's the difference of squares, y plus 7 times y minus 7, and then it's over 7 minus y. So if you factor out the negative, on the bottom we have negative 1 times y minus 7. Those cancel out, and so we get negative y plus 7, or you could also write it as negative y minus 7. And it looked like you guys all had that. And that's the end of this lesson.